This 3D printed Condiment Corral keeps fast food dipping sauces at the ready, and I'll show you how to design one of your own in Tinkercad right after this. I'm Brian, and you are watching BV3D. Hello 3D printing friends, and welcome back. Okay, so today I'll show you how I designed this handy fast food dipping sauce caddy that I call the Condiment Corral, so you'll be able to design one to suit your own specific needs. But don't worry, you can still download mine and print it out if you don't feel like coming up with your own. It's no secret that fast food items often need to be dipped in other food items to get that perfect balance of flavor, or to make them halfway edible. Look, McNuggets are a guilty pleasure, but they deserve a dunk. Chick-Fil-A nuggets are pretty good, but the sauces elevate the experience, and Whataburger fries are good either with their regular or spicy ketchup. Basically, calories taste better when dipped in more calories. And while your favorite fast fried food establishment frequently fills the bag with fine, free dippity-doo-dahs, sometimes they forget. And that's disappointing when you get home and find there's nothing in the bag to make that McNugget taste like it just came off the barbecue grill. So you hoard these tantalizingly tasty treasures when you have extras, stuffing them deep in your drawers where they're soon forgotten, aging like fine milk. If only there were a way to keep your delicious dips and dunks delightfully displayed and dispensed on demand. My God, there's an astonishing amount of alliteration in this video. And this video is brought to you by PCBWay. PCBWay is known for making low-cost, high-quality printed circuit boards, but they also do CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, and even injection molding. They sent me a few samples, and I gotta say, these circuit board rulers and coasters are freaking amazing. And the clear resin prints of the PCBWay logo, these are 100% crystal clear. So whether you need PCBs, machining services, or even something printed in a specialty material your printer can't handle, PCBWay can do that for you. Check them out at PCBWay.com. Well, the Condiment Corral keeps ketchup stacked up, barbecue cued, and sweet and sour by the hour. And no, that last one doesn't make any sense. Put your newest treasures on top, and when you need one, pull it from the bottom of the stack. This prevents caches of condiments dating back to the Clinton administration from coming to cancel your carefree consumption with their curmudgeonly culture. And by culture, I mean the bacterial kind. Now, I know what you're thinking. When is this guy going to shut up and show me how to design this thing? Well, be not a negative Nancy or Nathaniel, for that time is nigh, and nigh means now, so now, here's how. The first thing we're going to do is abruptly abandon all alliteration. Then, we need to know the dimensions of the condiment packs that we're going to be storing. In my case, there are two types. The first is the Chick-Fil-A sauce pack, which is the kind they use for their barbecue sauce and Chick-Fil-A sauce. Calipers are handy for this, but you can also just use a ruler that includes millimeters. The top of this one measures about 61 millimeters by 48 millimeters, and it's about 18 millimeters tall. The measurements of the bottom tub part of it are unimportant for this project, so we can skip those. My second sauce type is the McDonald's sauce / Whataburger ketchup pack. These are more or less the same. The top dimensions for one of these are 57 millimeters by 46 millimeters, and they're about 24 millimeters tall. And again, the tub measurements aren't important for this, so I'm skipping those. Armed with the Conda measurements, we can model these sauce packs in Tinkercad. That will be important in figuring out a couple of critical dimensions, such as how tall to make the Condiment Corral, and where to position the one-at-a-time dispenser gates. So here in Tinkercad, let's drag out a box. This will be the Chick-Fil-A sauce pack model. So I'll set it to 61 millimeters by 48 millimeters, and I'll set it to 18 millimeters tall. And just to give the ability to distinguish where these sit if they're stacked, I'll set a 2 millimeter radius on it to round over all the edges. Now, to model the McDonald's sauce packet, I can just duplicate the Chick-fil-A one and adjust its dimensions. 57 millimeters by 46 millimeters and 24 millimeters tall. I'm going to set these to different colors so it's easy to tell which is which. Red for Chick-fil-A, yellow for McDonald's. Now that the sauce packs are modeled, let's design the corral to contain them. And basically that's a box with cutouts for the sauce packs. In the past, I've printed some of these that other people have designed, and one common issue I've noticed is they're made to accommodate like the exact width of a sauce pack. But some sauce packs are a tiny bit wider than others, and the wider ones stick on the layer lines, and then the packs don't slide down easily when you remove the bottom one. So to account for variability in dip dimensions, specifically X and Y, I'm going to say that the stack needs to be 2 millimeters wider and deeper than my sauce pack measurements. That means the Chick-Fil-A pack stacks need to be 63 millimeters wide by 50 millimeters deep, and a mixed sauce pack needs to be 59 millimeters by 48 millimeters. The next question is, how tall should these pack stacks be? I've found that once you get taller than about 10 Chick-fil-A sauce packs, their combined weight makes it difficult to remove one from the bottom of the stack. So I'm going to cap this at a maximum stack height of 10 CFA packs. With a Chick-fil-A pack coming in at a nominal 18 millimeters, that puts this at 180 millimeters tall. But if I make it just a little bit taller, it will also accommodate a stack of 8 mixed sauces. And for that, it'll need to be about 192 millimeters tall. So I'm going to make both of them this height because I intend to have both types in the corral. And just a reminder, I'm talking about the size of the cutout needed to hold the stack packs. The actual corral will be a tiny bit larger, and that's because I want to have 2 millimeter thick walls all around and a 2 millimeter thick base. So let's model these cutouts using a hole type box. As a reminder, hole type parts will cut their shape out of solid parts when they're grouped together. The Chick-fil-A one is going to be 63 millimeters by 50 millimeters and 192 millimeters tall. Now, given how close the footprints of the two sauce packs are, I'm going to use the Chick-fil-A pack's hole part for the very slightly smaller McDonald's ones too. We don't need to be super precise on the measurements. Set the guy measuring sauce packs down to the millimeter, but no, really, it'll be okay. And actually, now that I think about it, I need to bump these out just a tiny bit more in the long dimension, so 65 millimeters instead of 63. That will allow for 2 millimeter thick gates at the front of the corral for one at a time dispensation. Okay, now my design is going to allow for 2 CFA stacks and 2 mixed stacks, so I need 4 of these cutouts. Select, duplicate, move, duplicate, duplicate. Next, I need to arrange these. I want 2 millimeter thick walls on this corral, so that means I need to first get these roughly where I want them. Just 4 stacks, side by side. One thing that's critical is switching from perspective view to orthographic view because perspective view distorts things. When one part of a part is farther away from your view, like the bottom of this stack cutout, it becomes smaller. Orthographic view doesn't do that. And you can switch between perspective and orthographic view with this control. Then, zooming in a little bit, I can use the arrow keys to nudge these around. Each move is locked to the 1 millimeter grid on the work plane, so if I bump these up side by side, and then over a couple of clicks, that's 2 millimeters. I'll do that for the remaining ones as well. Then, I want to line up the front edges on these, so I'll select all 4 of them. Then, with the alignment tool, I can click here to get them all lined up. Now, let's see what the overall width of these cutouts is. Looks like it's 206 millimeters. I'll add 4 millimeters to that to get a 2 millimeter thick outer wall on the width. So, 210 millimeters. Out comes a solid box that we can use to form the outside of the corral. Width to 210 millimeters, depth to 67 millimeters, height to 194 millimeters. Next, to make it easier to keep all these whole parts together, I'll select the 4 of them and group them. Now I can select that group, along with the solid box I just sized, and use the alignment tool to align the front edges and the tops, and then center them widthwise. Then, when I group them together, I get the cutouts that I want. I'll set the color on this to blue just to get some contrast here. Now you'll notice the corral is missing something. It's missing the gates on the front that'll allow just a single sauce pack to be pulled from the bottom. Let's make those now. The gates are going to be made from an upside down roof part combined with a box part. It looks like an upside down Monopoly house, but now I'm going to turn it into an upside down high rise by setting the height of the box to 200 millimeters. That's obviously taller than what will be needed, but I'm planning on cutting it to length in a few minutes. After setting the height, I'll select both of these parts and group them together. Now I can adjust it so it's only 2 millimeters thick. My intention is to arrange these on the front of the corral and adjust how far from the bottom they are to allow the sauce packets to come out one at a time. Then I'll group these gates with the corral and trim off the excess for a finished product. In order to get the height set correctly, I need to put some sauce packs in the corral. I'll grab the stack of Chick-Fil-A packs and raise them up 2 millimeters off the work plane so they'll be sitting on the floor of the corral, and then I'll move them into place. And then I can duplicate that stack and move it over to the next slot. Now I'll do the McDonald's ones. Another way to make sure they're sitting on the floor of the corral is to group the whole stack together and then drag out a work plane onto the floor of the corral. And with just the stack selected, press the D key to drop to work plane. That puts the bottom of the stack at the height of the new work plane, which is 2 millimeters above the regular one. Then you can reset the work plane by dragging out another one and putting it down where the regular work plane should be. Then drag the sauce pack stack into place and duplicate it and drag that into place too. Looking at it from the front, you can see the sauce packs are resting on the floor of the corral, which is what we need. Next, I'll drag the gate into place on the front of the corral and arrange it so the point is centered on a corral wall. Then duplicate and drag a few more times to get a total of 5 gate pieces. They're still too tall, and they're still not adjusted to allow single-serve sauce stack selection, but that's next. On the Chick-Fil-A side, these need to come up about 20 millimeters from the work plane. And on the McDonald's side, these need to come up about 25 millimeters. The intent here is to allow clearance for a single pack to be pulled from the bottom. You can drag the gates upward using the cone-shaped handle that appears when they're selected. You can also use Control up and down arrows on Windows or Control Option up and down arrows on macOS to nudge the parts in the Z-axis. Now that the gates are adjusted to allow single packs, it's time to get the sauce pack stacks out of the way and group the corral parts together. Then we can trim the gates down to size. I'll drag a hole type box out and stick it to the side of the corral. Then I can adjust the box to be big enough to cut the gate off that side and then select both the hole and the corral and group them together. Then I can do the same for the other side. And one more time for the top. You'll have to be kind of precise to get it to stick to the top, so if you're having trouble, zoom in on the corral to make it easier. Make sure to set the hole part tall enough to cut off the tops of the gate pieces and then select the hole and the corral and group them to perform the cut, and that should be it. You won't need the sauce pack models any longer, so you can delete those. The last step is exporting the Condiment Corral as an STL so you can load it into your slicer and then slice and print it. Once you've printed it, stick some rubber feet on the bottom of it to keep it from sliding around. And now you'll be able to stack, save, and subsequently select spicy, sweet, or savory single-serve sauces in seconds. The file for this is linked in the description so you can download and print it in case you don't want to design your own. But if you do want to design your own, you can customize it however you want. So that's all there is to creating a Condiment Corral. Thanks again to PCBWay for sponsoring this video, and big thanks to everyone who supports the channel, whether with channel memberships or by using the links in the description. If you liked this one, give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing so you don't miss new ones. Well, 3D printing friends, that's about all the time we have for this one. And now that we're at the end, let's go print something cool to corral our condiments.